Neighbor loves Halloween. Just thought I'd share a weird-ass encounter I had this weekend. My 22 male grandpa's neighbor is probably in her late 30s. I am staying with him for a while because of a roommate situation. His property is a few acres and the neighbor's lot is similar. They are separated by trees. My grandpa has a dog, an old German Shepherd. He's gotten sensitive to noises lately. Here's the problem. Neighbor is a Halloween fanatic. My grandpa said, I realize I'm going to be a hypocrite after reading this one.
What?
I'm going to be such a hypocrite. Okay. My grandpa said she gets her Halloween decor up in late August, but the issue isn't the decor. It's that she's got this odd soundscape. The soundscape includes a fireworks/gunshot type cluster of bangs that happen every so often. Given the distance between the homes, we shouldn't be able to hear any of it. Anyway, she runs it from about 5 p.m. till 10 p.m. They don't get trick-or-treaters or anything in this area. Houses are too far apart and have long driveways. So all of this is for herself. My grandpa is too nice/conflict avoidant to do anything about it, but I feel so bad for the dog. After a day of the sounds triggering the dog, I went over and I introduced myself. It was my first time meeting her, so I didn't want to immediately launch into my complaint. I went along with some conversation to build rapport. She was extremely chatty at first, asked a lot of questions about me, tried to guess my ethnicity. I have a racially ambiguous face, and she wanted to prove she could read my features or whatever. From there, she started telling me which celebrities I remind her of. Haven't heard any of them. And then she started talking about horror movies. I couldn't get a word in. I had to interrupt her. I explained about our dog. Started with, maybe you could consider using a different soundscape or turning it down. As soon as I brought up the topic, she got all cold. Her whole demeanor towards me changed, but she did agree she would turn it down. She didn't. So I turned up to her door for the second time yesterday. This is when it got weird. She answered the door in a full costume and was putting on a character that she didn't feel necessary to drop while talking to me. I tried to let her know I'm going to be making a noise complaint if she doesn't adjust her soundscape. I asked her how come she didn't turn it down. She ignored this by telling me I look like I have a delicious liver. It's hard to express how frustrating it was. I said nothing. I just stared at her, irritated, hoping she'd drop the act. Instead of getting serious, she kept the weird voice going and told me, lower your eyebrows. Why are you so grumpy? She also tried to reach out slowly to touch my face or something. I just turned around and left. This woman was still in her fucking character. She said something after me that I was not able to make it out enough to quote it here. I got home and made a noise complaint. Cops took my statement, then they went over and talked to her. No more soundscape. Peace and quiet. Today, she left a dead bird on the doorstep.
Eek. Oh, why? Well, I feel like this is a different situation than the scary decorations. Like, one, the scary decorations aren't making noises. So it's a little bit different. Like, if you can, even if it wasn't Halloween, like, you have the rights to make a noise complaint.
Yeah.
But also, like, the neighbor also has the right to, like, play noises. It says it's from 5 to 10. So in every county or city or wherever you are, you have a noise ordinance that you have to abide by of how loud you can make noise and at what times that you can make that noise. If she's within those parameters, you got to suck it up. You got to move. Moving is going to be my answer for this episode.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's okay. I am such a hypocrite because when it comes to animals, I have a sweet spot. I have such a soft spot for them, and that might be kind of rude to say. When it comes to kids, I'm like, suck it up. But when it comes to animals, I'm like, oh no, the dog is scared. No. I just think like the last story, OP has, free will to complain. But if she is within her rights to play that loud of music during those hours, then I do think that she can continue to do that. And
and you can fight fire with fire, except you're a little worried about your dog. But maybe you get a speaker and you find out what the decimal limit is, and you set it right on the limit, and you set a timer for what the hours of operations are, and you set it up to counteract that noise, and maybe you play something softer that the dog isn't afraid of, but then maybe it overrides whatever her noise is. You fight the fire with fire.
Well, actually, I think we're overthinking this because the cops did go over there and talk to her. So,
That's true. I guess your first step is to be like, hey, noise complaint. And then either the cops say, either she like abides by it, or the cops are like, nah, there's nothing we can do. She's within her legal rights.
Mm-hmm.
And then you fight fire with fire.
I think it was over the decibels that were allowed because the cops did put an end to it.
Yeah. Or she just like doesn't want the cops talking to her because she's got dead bodies in her backyard. She doesn't want to cause a real big issue. So she's just like, oh, okay, I'll drop the music. And then at the end it says, today she left a dead bird on the doorstep.
Yep.
How do you
know?
know?
Great way to end that story.
How do you know it was your neighbor? You got ring footage?
So top comment actually says, do you have proof, like a ring camera recording? Because it could just be a coincidence. OP replies, it's not a ring, but my camera had an old porch camera. It was her. I could tell from her Halloween wig, LOL. I'm just hoping the bird was already dead when she found it and not murdered.
Oh, geez, yeah. Also,
I didn't even think of that.
Okay, like I get from outside perspective, you come over and like, you know, the character, your neighbor's in character and she doesn't break character when she's talking with you. But on the flip side, is that not a genius way to deal with annoying neighbors?
Yeah.
Like, you know, the neighbor's coming over to complain.
Yeah.
And you know you're within your legal limits. And you're like,
she wasn't.
No, but like, say you do.
Yeah,
and you're like,
if she was.
Yeah, I've done nothing wrong. And you know you don't like your neighbor and your neighbor comes over to complain. You're just like staying in character. Best way to get rid of your neighbor. Genius. Mm-hmm. Slightly, you know, it takes a certain type of person, little craziness, little, you know, in there, but genius.
I would agree with that.
I also find it very weird that she tried to guess his ethnicity. I don't know. And then like which celebrity he reminds her of. Mm-hmm. I do find that behavior
seems a little bit odd.
Yeah, that behavior is a little odd to me.
All right, so there's another post that OP makes in r/spells, and it's titled, do these ingredients mean anything? Hi, I just found this sub and thought I'd ask here. Someone put red wax with thread in it, hair, and what I think was honey with cinnamon under the door handle of my vehicle. I touched it and it got all over my hand. Do those things mean anything?
Ooh. Oh man, now we're just breaking barriers here.
So some relevant comments say, you don't have to touch it to be affected. It's supposed to be placed somewhere they frequent. I'd say you got spell roofied, friend. There's several ways to get rid of this. Do your research on local weeds for your cleansing bath. That way it costs you nothing. Or play along. Who knows where it'll go.
Okay, I think there's an important part on the last. There was a comment on the first post that said, out of interest, what was her character? And he says, so unfortunately I didn't ask. I didn't want to acknowledge it. I think it was some kind of witch or demon costume. Long white hair, long nails, red lipstick, face paint. She had on a robe with a hood that was covering most of it though. So some witchy stuff.
Witchy
he thinks
stuff.
Going on. Also about that question, he doesn't explicitly state like, hey, I went over to go talk to her about like chilling the F out on Halloween.
No, this is pre-Halloween night.
So if it's not Halloween night,
yeah,
why is she fully dressed up and in her costume? Unless he just so happened to come across her on her test trial run, which is actually, you know, some people like to like, you know, prep. So maybe that's the answer for that.
Maybe, but probably not. Another comment says, those items are mostly used in love spells. However, usage wouldn't be where the target would see it or touch it. So either whoever did this is new to the craft and didn't know what they were doing, or it's not magical at all, and someone is being a jerk.
So we're crossing into vandalism territory.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, so there's an update on the original post that says, she doesn't play the soundscape anymore, but she stuck some weird ingredients on the door handle of my vehicle. I touched the stuff and it got all over my hand. I had a feeling it was something witchy, so I asked on Reddit and learned it was a love spell ingredient. Assuming that was for me, but not completely discounting my grandpa, LOL. A few days after she left me the bird, she turned the soundscape on just as I was going past her house during my run. From the way she timed it / turned it off when I had reached my grandpa's house, it was deliberate. I found it amusing because it was kind of clever. She wrote a note to me in my grandpa's native language, which is Korean. It's basically a copy of the phrase, if you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss gazes back into you. ? The dog is safe and nothing has happened to him. I have already mentioned this, but there is a police report / case number assigned to this incident, and I taught my grandpa what number to call so he can continue reporting other events if they happen, to add to the paper trail. He is working security cameras on his front and back porch that are fairly decent. This is not my permanent residence, but I'm sure he will be fine.
So I imagine that the security cameras came after the bird.
No, because they had the security cameras.
Oh, yeah.
He said that he had the security camera before and saw her.
Right, yeah.
So someone says, quote, she wrote a note to me in my grandpa's native language, which is Korean. Okay, this is creepy AF. A dead bird I can handle. Creepy Korean notes with cringe Nietzsche quotes. Pants shittingly terrifying. Offer off the table. Sorry. All right. To this post, someone replied, "You're my target." And it was deleted. Opie replied, "I don't know where you got my photo, but I'm reporting you."
What?
They also left other comments. And you're the guy who looks like what I think Azrael looks like, with a black dragon and a black heart. And then in upside down letters, it says, "You are the most fun to play with." That was hard to read.
How do you even type that? I don't understand.
I don't know.
How did you get the letters upside down?
And then they say, "Tell the person who wrote this post to look at my profile." When someone asked who Azrael is, replying to let you know you don't need to worry. Seriously, please don't. I'm fine. To answer your question, I don't know who Azrael is. I can tell you that's not my name. So there's another update. A few people reached out to see if anything happened on Halloween. So this update comes on November 4th. A few people reached out to see if anything happened on Halloween. I was going to wait on the update until there was a conclusion, but I'm not sure what that might be. To avoid spamming, I won't be making any other updates until this matter is resolved. To answer the question I got most, I wasn't at my grandpa's place on Halloween or the following day, but he told me he saw the neighbor in the woods by his property line. She was wearing a costume, looking something like the girl from The Ring. He said he noticed her standing there facing the house in the middle of the day on Halloween, but other than that, nothing happened. I was here on Saturday, and that's when she threw a party. It was raining, but you could hear the bass from her music, and there were cars in her driveway. Around 10 p.m., the doorbell rang, and when I answered it, it was her, looking just like my grandpa had described. Same costume. I couldn't see her face that well through all the hair, but I recognized her voice. She seemed panicked, and she was speaking so fast I couldn't make out everything she was saying, but the gist of it was that she needed help and wanted me to call an ambulance. Before I could process what was happening or even say anything, she hugged me. It wasn't really a normal hug, but I don't know how else to describe it. Currently, I have an arm sling for an injury, so when she slammed into me, the arm got sandwiched between us, and the sudden pain made me tense up and freeze. I genuinely thought she was in distress and believed her because it seemed different than the first time she was acting like some character. I think I said something like, "It's okay, I'll help you," in an attempt to reassure her, and with my free hand, I tried to push her head away. She was clinging to me so hard, I didn't know what to do. She was making these weird hiccuping sounds and was covered in something that smelled like diesel. The party was still going, so I just assumed it had something to do with that. Maybe she was intoxicated or under the influence of something. I told her I needed to get my phone so I could make a call. I asked her some questions, but she didn't answer. She eventually calmed down and let me go. She stood by the door, all quiet. I wanted to get my phone first anyway, but by the time I returned, she was gone. I checked the camera, and it showed she walked off the porch. The police took 50 minutes to arrive that night. I explained what happened and showed them the porch camera footage. They went to her house for a wellness check, and an ambulance showed up too. They told me to stay at my house, so I didn't go with them. Today, she came by looking normal. She asked why I called the cops in her party and completely denied it was her at my door the other night. I didn't bother with the conversation after that. I just shut the door in her face. Since my last update, she has found my Reddit account, so I won't disclose any next steps. I thought about not doing any more updates altogether, but I felt bad about leaving people hanging.
Damn.
She is
comes
psychotic.
over like the girl like the ring and just like, help me.
And she's pretending like it wasn't her.
Ugh.
What if it wasn't?
Right? That's what I was thinking. Like, what if it actually wasn't?
What if it wasn't in it? She actually put a witchy spell on you or something.
Or just like it was like a random girl like ran up the street.
So
Damn.
OP added in the comments, I'm 6'2" and top of her head barely reached my shoulder.
Sorry, just in the top of the head. It just sounded odd.
I'm 6'2" and the top of her head barely reached my shoulder. Her lunge at me was sudden. I don't understand why she did that. I definitely didn't see it coming. I was straining to listen to what she was saying because she was talking so fast at a low volume. It was raining really hard and I couldn't see her face, which might have helped me hear her better, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
In the middle of whatever she was saying, she hugged me. It totally threw me off, but I thought she was in a crisis and fighting her off wasn't my first instinct. The shooting pain from her having pressed into my injury made me freeze up too. All of this happened really fast and I didn't have time to process anything. When I write it out, it seems like there was time, but there wasn't. In hindsight, the more I think back to how she behaved, she was in character and definitely doing her acting thing all over again. I feel so stupid for falling for whatever that was because I immediately focused on helping.
Yeah, but you're just a nice guy.
Exactly. All right. So an update comes 3 months later.
Damn.
I'll get the sad part over with first. My grandpa's dog died from old age at the end of the last year.
Aw.
I was with him when it happened. It was something we were anticipating, so I don't suspect the neighbor at all. My grandpa was devastated though, because they were both old guys together. But he also never went anywhere because of this dog. After that dog died, I convinced my grandpa to go visit my parents with me. TLDR, I finally have been granted a protection order, specifically a court-ordered one, which is also why I held off my update. It was a frustrating experience. It was more complicated because it was a neighbor. Also, they didn't see a significant risk factor initially. I ended up moving, which I believe helped the process. There has been no contact from her since the order. Some things that happened between updates. There's a homeless guy who has a dog. He is always at the gas station I go to. I decided to find him and donate the jacket our dog used to wear. It was a really nice one from Carhartt. I gave him the jacket, then went inside. When I came out, he told me someone was touching my motorcycle. His description wasn't great. A man, a few words, and most of them were incoherent. But he did say it was a woman. The footage from CCTV was poor quality / low frame rate. The owner let me record the screen with my phone. She either parked out of frame somewhere or had walked, but it looked like it could be her. This entire experience sadly made me realize I think I am kind of face blind. It was difficult to tell what she was doing, but it didn't look like much. She called my mom's small business with a fake accent to ask about me. I had no association with the business. I have no idea how she found it. My mom remarried, so even our last names are different. I had roses delivered to me on a few occasions. Ironically, it was the first time I had ever received flowers. I put on welded gloves to throw them in the trash, but when I came home, my grandpa had displayed them in a vase in his house. To explain stocking to my grandpa had been a struggle, after which he told me that it had nothing to do with the roses. She had a random person to approach me while I was in the grocery store. This person asked me questions. None of them stood out to me. Some of them I didn't understand. My mind blanked a little because his approach was so abrupt. He came back shortly after his attempt to engage me to apologize and tell me he was paid to ask me these things. I was still very confused at this point. I thought I was going to experience an influencer in the wild or something. He offered to take me outside or to point out the car. I got paranoid because he was being so pushy about it and I was already half restrained by my own arm sling at the time. He was also refusing to tell me anything. He wouldn't even say if it was a male or female unless I went outside with him. I used to work at a barber, so I'd cut my own hair, and she claims she has hair clippings that she took from the track for something called her poppet. She says she does stuff to bring comfort to me when I'm in pain and make me feel good. And finally, this was probably the worst one because it took a mental health toll on me. Although I moved, she developed a habit of trying to convince me she was around me, having small influences over me or involvement in my day. I didn't necessarily believe her, but it impacted my ability to take down my guard. So I decided to test this. I posted a video on Reddit to this account stressing about an incident that the people in the subreddit probably thought I was a clown for asking about. But I knew she monitors my account. I also suspected she monitors my friend's Instagram account, through which she was sussing information about me and my whereabouts indirectly. I had him also post his POV of the same incident I posted to my Reddit. Anyways, I mostly did this to soothe my own paranoia. It felt reassuring to have some kind of proof that she was just making guesses to get under my skin, because eventually I received a cryptic message about how she was responsible for it and that it was just a warm-up. No, sweetheart, it was the abyss, gazing right back.
Man, this guy, poor guy, he went from just like, I want to stand up for my grandpa. I'm going through the worst ordeal ever. Getting
Oh
a
my
full-on
gosh.
stalker. Oh my.
A stalker, a witchy dox
Right?
on him. Oh my gosh. I could not imagine living life like this. Like having to peer over your shoulder in the grocery store. Like someone is actually praying for your downfall. Like it's not just stalking. Like I think she's actually trying to like hurt him. Like the grocery store incident when the guy was like trying to force him to come outside.
Why doesn't he go outside? It's like she also paid him to get him to go outside.
Exactly. No, this is so creepy. I'm really glad he went to the police. She should get charged. Like it should be more than just like a restraint.
Right?
This is beyond.
Just beyond.
I couldn't think of another word. Words are hard.
Words are hard.
Beyond. I tried to play it off as that's all I meant to say, but.
Yeah. All right. Back to me.
All right.